Good morning. This is Catherine Doverly, the Answer Lady. Today I'd like to show you how to do a manual tuck stitch. There are a number of reasons that you might wish to do this, but the one that we'll look at today is to set off a cable by making a valley on either side of it. True, you can set off a cable simply by making a purl stitch to either side of it, and it's a long and trusted method of doing so. But I've discovered that the manual tuck stitch makes what I think is a better valley in that it is wider and it has a little bit of texture of its own. So I believe it adds more drama without adding any more work to the project. And I'd like for you to try it and see if you agree. For this demonstration, I'm going to use the manual tuck stitch column to set off a wanderlust cable. Wanderlust cables are a technique of mine found in a book by the same name, and they mean that a very small cable can actually keep moving across the fabric, wandering all over it, and create the illusion of a very large cable. You can read more about it and find lots of patterns in the book, Wanderlust Cables. This particular pattern is called the Big Stuff cable. It's a very, very simple cotton top that should appear sometime in 2012 or 2013 in News and Views magazine. This video is to help you with that pattern and to just enjoy the technique in general. Having finished knitting the cable, I will drop the stitch to either side of the cable and ladder them back down to the cast on. In this case, the cast on was chain stitch. That's sort of important because it means that when we ladder all the way down, we won't actually lose the stitch at the bottom. The chain stitch will give us something to work through to start latching back up. Push the latch tool through that chain stitch, push it underneath the first rung in the ladder, catch the second one, and pull it through the chain stitch. Now repeat that action all the way up the column of stitches. Under one rung of the ladder, catch the second rung, pull it through the existing stitch. Under one, catch the second rung, pull it through the existing stitch. Tuck stitch, as you know, is more relaxed than stockinette stitch. It grows a little in width. Plus, it has an interesting texture. And this is what adds so much to a manual tuck stitch column when you wish it to set off a cable. Note the latch tool that I'm using. Actually, it's a rug latch tool. This is a trick that I learned from Charlene Schaefer, a very clever woman. When working with bulky knits, this latch tool is easy to hold on to and does a super job and makes things much faster. So when edging a bulky afghan or making fringe, Charlene recommends it, and I have found it wonderful for projects such as this one as well. Many times I recommend actually working this process while the work is still on the knitting machine, laddering down 15 to 20 rows at once, and then latching them up and hanging the last of the loops on the needle so as to let it keep knitting. The reason you see me doing it in my lap here is because I couldn't seem to stay out of the way of the camera on the knitting machine. And it does show that if you prefer to do your finishing in your lap, you can do so. However, it makes it a little bit more difficult to finish the neckline if you wait and drop the stitches and latch them back up once the work is off the machine. You're going to have to hide a little stitch that anchors the final top stitch on your ladder rungs in the back or to the interior of the garment in order to finish it by hand on your lap. I hope you'll make and enjoy the top and have a good time working the manual tuck stitch here and on future projects. Happy knitting, and bye now.